Todd Barton.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, hello. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, no problem. I was wondering if I was ever going to get invited.
Yes. Well, you've been helping me with these, so I had to make sure, as I'm telling everybody else, as we're going through these podcasts, that you're in that spot where you feel like we're starting to get it, right?
Oh, you're getting it.
Yeah.
I've been
thanks.
watching. You're getting it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Happy to have you with us, and you're back again because you were with the office for how long? You were with Keller Williams for 12, 13 years, took a hiatus, went somewhere else, and then came back. So all in all, let's call it, 15, 16 years?
This is my 20th year, and I was somewhere else for about 3. So that's
Okay.
close to 17 years.
Yeah, so thanks. And so our broker retired, and you are now our managing broker. You're so much more than that, right? You've got your managing broker. You are a coach to many agents, right? You're not in production. You have a team that you work with. Lots of leadership roles, what you have, right? And in addition to being a father, a husband, a grandfather, I know you've been a great support to me. Sometimes I'll go in and I'll have a moment with you where I say, can I have a Father Todd moment? And we have a discussion and I get clarity. So, leadership shows up in a lot of different areas of your life.
Well, you get to be in this business this long, you have an opinion like I do. So, yeah, people come in and like to get my opinion. My opinion's not always right, but of course, not too shy to share it, which is
definitely not too shy to share it.
Yeah.
And you also ask great questions.
Well, that's leadership. I think
Yes.
you want to talk about leadership, or you want to be in a leadership position. I think you're going to learn that mostly leadership is about helping people self-discover what they want or what the truth really is in their eyes, because life's about perspective. Life can be about a lot of things for a lot of people, but I think when it all kind of boils down to, it's about what your perspective is. And I can't see your perspective and you can't see mine, and we got to kind of self-discover what needs to be done or what needs to happen. So I think when it comes to leadership, for me, I don't really know the answer unless I can ask a bunch of questions, and that gets me in trouble sometimes.
It also pushes you forward at the same time.
Yeah, I think people are uncomfortable with questions, and so you ask questions, and they think you're against them. They think you're rooting against them. You think it's a negative thing, but for me, it's just clarity. I'm just trying to get clear on what their perspective is, so I can share what I think they need to hear.
It's true, and the perspective and the coaches I've gone through many coaches. The best ones I've had have been who've paused, didn't talk the entire time, and asked great questions, because we all have blind spots that we can't see. And you're right, I agree with the leadership. And when you ask people questions, it makes them uncomfortable at times, and sometimes they react in not such a positive way. And all you're doing is asking a question, but when you try and get away from the surface and go a little bit deeper, 2-3 levels deep, some people grab hold of it and some people react differently. It's different for everybody.
Yeah,
However, that's where the growth happens.
It's 100% uncomfortable, though.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be uncomfortable. That's just life in general.
Oh, I've been there many a times. And,
Yeah. Well, if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing.
Yeah, and I've people ask questions. Debbie is really good at that.
Yeah.
She asks questions, and what else? And what else? And what else?
She's annoyingly good at it.
Yes, she is. It's kind of unfair at the same time. Being around it, learn a lot. Whereas I think over the years I've been at times reactive in my growth. Now I just kind of am in a different place. I understand it differently, that perspective.
Yeah. I think coaching and leadership is just about gaining perspective and trying to understand where they're trying to go and then trying to help them get there.
And so leadership, has it always shown up for you? Have you always been in that spot? Or was there a time where, because you're also, again, a father and a husband, when did you know you were a leader? Or has it just always been?
The truth is, it's been really, really hard for me.
In what way? Because
I have always been the leader, but I haven't always wanted to be the leader. Mm-hmm. Like I think that I've walked away from a lot of opportunities because I didn't want to be the leader in that opportunity, and maybe, I'm not saying made bad choices, but there were times when I could have made a better choice when it came to that. But yeah, I've always I don't know why I don't like seek it out. It's not like I don't want to be the guy on stage. I don't want to be all of that. But yeah, it does seem that I end up in the leadership position in almost any scenario I get myself into.
Are there times where you want to pull away from it a little bit, where you know when, hey, I don't need to be the leader in this situation? Because sometimes when we do that, I know when I'm in meetings or just anything, it's easy for me to step up in front. It's a natural. I don't know if that's always best for whatever the circumstance is. And sometimes I have to stop myself and go, wait a minute. I'm hogging all the leadership. I need to step back and let somebody else have their opportunity. You know, working with Cassie, it's fun to watch her grow. But do you ever find that in yourself where sometimes less is more?
Yeah, I think someone said something to me one time, and that is the person who does the most talking believes that the situation came out the best it could, or it was the most successful. Right? I mean, I'll teach a class, and I'm the one up there talking the entire time, and I'll come out and someone will say, "How'd your class go?" Well, I talked the entire time, so I think it was great, but I'm not really sure what everybody else's perspective was. So I think that's where leadership comes in, is you do have to step back. And there are a lot of times when you want to say something and it's probably best not to, because the other people need to kind of step it up and or get uncomfortable with the situation, and so they can step up. I mean, that's when people will grow into the leadership position, is when they're uncomfortable with what's going on. They'll figure out how to kind of step up. So yeah, it's sometimes hard to just sit back and listen to it, but you got to do that sometimes.
Right, because you're agreeing with somebody else a growth opportunity in that when you're able to do that. So what's it like being, I mean, right now you are, we have a lot of people in our world, right? Being a managing broker, you were a managing broker before coming here, and then you've managed a lot of people. What's it like being in real estate today and being a broker where we don't always see the people, right? It's sometimes you're working with people, you may have only spoken to them over the phone. What is that experience like in your leadership journey?
Frustrating.
Yeah? How so? Tell me more.
Because you don't get to know the people. Like again, for me, a lot about helping people is about my perspective on what they need or their perspective on what they're trying to achieve. And when you don't, it has become very, people don't come to the office anymore. Obviously, COVID situation, right? We learned a lot from COVID, and one was that you don't always have to be in the office to be successful, and some people have taken that to a new level. And so sometimes it's frustrating because I don't know people well enough to have an opinion. I mean, I really need to know them. And so, I get in a situation where I'm asking a lot of questions.
Right.
And a lot of top producing agents don't have the patience for that.
Got it.
Like they take that as in I'm questioning their judgment or their actions, where not doing that in any way. I'm simply just trying to understand the situation so I can have a better understanding. So it's been difficult. I mean, I took over a managing broker position right after COVID. Like I wasn't a managing broker before COVID, although a lot of my time spent here before moving to take that position, I was not the broker. We had a broker, but I did get asked a lot of broker type questions. I did work in the bullpen. I didn't hide in an office. I was out in the open, and so there was a lot of opportunity for people to get my perspective. And it was always a joke that, when the broker, Candy, decided to move on, I'd probably be the next broker. And I didn't think a lot about that. I didn't put a lot of weight in that. But here I am. It kind of worked out that way. So
yeah, it was a tough negotiation when I was on the other side of the world with Debbie.
Yeah, I only want to negotiate with you and Debbie when you guys are out of the country. So
yeah, that seems to be a pattern.
So
I'm not going to tell you. We're not going to be on social. So yeah, that's when Todd makes his move, and both leaving. And we were in Spain, and then we were in Greece. So yeah, we can't travel together anymore because of you. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
No, it is weird how that really worked out, though. I mean, that is really how it happened. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, and so we were getting ready to go to happy hour or something, and we had to call Todd, and it was, I think it was morning here and evening there. But, we found a way to make it work, and you're definitely worth it.
Well, thank you.
And how has it been in real estate? The industry has changed so much, right? And people, are you finding agents value education as much as maybe they did 10 years ago? in terms of this industry and really learning it and being full-time practitioners?
Well, I think the education of real estate and the practice of real estate has changed a lot. Like I said, this is my 20th year, I think, maybe 19th, 20th year. When I got in real estate, when you went to real estate school, you went to a school. You got to go to class every day. And there was a little bit different perspective on how you learned the business. You learned it kind of the old school way. And as time has gone on, the internet's come around, and YouTube is a huge factor in education nowadays. I mean, it's for the good and for the bad. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on YouTube that is just clickbait and just bad information, and there's also some really good educational stuff on there. And so I think what we've seen education-wise is people gravitate to the type of education they're suited for, what they like the most. I'm not a YouTube video watching person. There's people in my life that watch 3 and 4 hours of YouTube videos a day.
Because it's long form video in most cases, YouTube, right?
Yeah, so they go watch, whatever they want to learn. They'll go watch it. I have a client right now, actually. She's basically remodeled the inside of her home by watching YouTube videos. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that people gravitate to the way they want to learn, and coming into the office and going the old school route isn't as popular anymore.
People aren't sitting through 2 days of classes like they used to for some of the classes that were available. Everything's in a condensed version, and what you think and you believe you can go find somewhere now, as opposed to, hey, check out this perspective, right? So, I mean, how is clickbait and all of these different things in real estate, $1 million listing, HGTV, everybody has an idea, both agents and consumers, right? How is that showing up? What are you seeing as a managing broker and also as a real estate business owner? How is that showing up when you are meeting with people and interacting with them? It's misinformation oftentimes.
Yeah, there's just so much. I think it's more misinformation on the consumer side.
Okay.
I think agents, especially ones that have been in the business for a while, and even ones getting into the business, I think that we, as an industry, do a pretty good job of educating people on what is real and what isn't real. And I think it affects the consumer side more. I think the consumers hear, some type of clickbait thing here, and then they latch on to that, and every video they see afterward.
That's what they believe.
Yeah, that just enforces what they heard. But they're not asking enough questions.
Are they coming to the agents now with more preconceived notions? Is it harder for agents to overcome the objections? Whereas a long time ago, the data you were able to control a little bit more. It's very prolific now. You can find out whatever you want.
Yeah, I think as an agent now, you've got to be prepared. Like you have got to have heard the misinformation to be able to talk about the truth. And I think that's where some agents fall short, is they're not studying or spending enough time listening to what the public is saying. They're just having their own opinion, and that's really kind of slowing them down. Like we're a customer service business. People don't necessarily believe that, but we are a relationship business. Everybody will tell you, "Oh, you're a salesperson." I'm not a salesperson. Look, I cannot, in any situation, take some random person to a house and sell them that house. They have to fall in love with that house. They have to like the location. They have to like the house. I can't sell it to them. That doesn't even make sense. I can probably sell you a car. Like there's a slight difference there, right?
Right.
You may come in for an SUV and I might sell you a minivan because I could sell you on some of the points of the car, but you really aren't going to do that with a house.
Because it's a bigger purchase, it's a bigger lifetime. I mean, it's a bigger commitment.
Biggest thing people are going to buy in their life, the biggest thing they're going to sell for most people.
So when you say you're not a salesperson in real estate, what would you call? I mean, a real estate practitioner, or is there another term?
Oh, I'm just a real estate agent. I'm a relationship person, right? I got to build relations with people, and then I've got to help them. I got to ask enough questions,
right,
to understand what they need and what they want. It's a needs and wants situation, and then my job is just to go out there and find them what they need, get them what they want, do the best job negotiating the deal that I get. I would tell you that a real estate agent needs to know two things. And I didn't make this up. Somebody told me this early on in my career. He said, you need to know two things to be a really good realtor. And we got into this conversation. I'll just preface it with this. We got into this conversation because I was kind of struggling being a realtor because I don't have that real estate agent personality.
You're not that high eye who wants to be in front of everything, the quintessential me first, have to be the center of attention. That's not you.
I'm also not the really flashy,
right.
Super easy to talk to. I'm kind of myself. I kind of keep to myself. And so I didn't really fit the mold. I've had many people over the years say there's no way you're a real estate agent. And no, I actually am. And I think I'm pretty successful at it. I don't know. I don't know what that really looks like. But I said, hey, listen, what am I doing wrong? Or, what am I even doing? He was my coach at the time. Mm-hmm. I got lucky and got probably one of the best coaches in the country at the time who agreed to coach me for a little while. And he said, two things in real estate to be a successful real estate agent. First thing you need to know is your contracts. You need to know everything there is in the contract so that you can, at a high level, explain that to somebody who doesn't understand them. And the second thing you need to be good at is negotiating. If you can do those two things, you can sell a lot of real estate.
Interesting.
And so that kind of hit home for me because those are two things I'm good at. I'm really good at contracts. I'm really good at reading and understanding, looking at different perspectives, seeing how that would tie into different transactions. And I'm a relatively good negotiator because I'm, as many people will say, don't have any feelings. I'm not tied to the outcome. I don't get excited or I don't get mad or I don't, I'm pretty level all the time. I don't have any real highs or any real lows. And so negotiating's become pretty easy to me because most people get super emotional about it. And emotions just affect your ability to negotiate.
Right. You're able to stay logical. You're the calmest person in the room is what I've noticed.
Well, that's my tag point.
Right.
I tell all my clients, this is going to get hard. When it gets hard, I'm going to be the calmest person in the transaction.
Right.
Of all of you included as a client, the other side of the transaction, I'll be the calmest. I'll help you make the best decision possible. You don't understand that today. You don't even you can't comprehend what I'm talking about, but you'll see it in the transaction at some point. Mm-hmm. And many, many, many of my clients have gone, I don't understand how you do what you do.
Yeah.
And it actually fits my personality pretty well.
And it also came with time over task. Now, you hired a coach, right? Because you obviously felt like, okay, there's something here I'm missing. There was a value in hiring a coach to give you let you see the blind spots and have you self-discover, if I can focus on these things that changed for you then you were like, oh, I think I'm getting this now. I can focus on these. And it took time. You had to develop a habit around that.
Yeah, everything is time on task. I mean,
right.
There aren't very many people that are really good at something right off the bat. I mean, even professional sports, you guys practice all the time.
Kobe Bryant, 1,000 shots, right? 1,000 free throw shots a day, right?
Yeah, I mean, Tiger Woods, he hit 100 putts every single day from 3 feet. I mean, I don't know if you play golf or not, but 100 putts a day is pretty difficult to do. And then he also hit. So it does. Everything is time on task. Everything you get better as you practice it. I was coaching an agent today, and he's been in it about 2 years. And we started to talk about when he first got in it, and he had really bad call reluctance. Like that telephone weighed 1,000 pounds. He couldn't even pick it up. Mm-hmm. And we've noticed over time that it's, we'll say, hey, you need to give this person a call, and he just picks up his phone and makes the call instead of stares at his phone for 5 minutes. So
nice.
Yeah, so people get better at things as time goes on. So
right. And sometimes we have to help them self-discover and get them a little uncomfortable to get over that hurdle as leaders, right? Sometimes they have to be willing to trust us and trust the process. It's not always easy. It's not like you just spoke to him and he did it. It's a series of conversations, right?
Yeah, you have to just there's sometimes you just have to do things to do things. Mm-hmm. Even though you're not going to be successful, you got to do it. Mm-hmm. So I tell people that I coach in this business, look, everything that you do in this business, you're going to do it 100 times. And the first 100 times you're going to screw it up. Mm-hmm. So hurry up and get past the first 100.
Yeah.
Let's get to 101, 102, 103. Let's get to 200 because you're going to be really good, and then you're going to start seeing success there. But yeah, it's not very often that you have a high level of success until you've done something multiple times.
Well, and that's the secret to anything, especially in this business.
Yeah, this is a great business.
Yeah,
we often talk about how dreadful this is and how hard it is to be successful and all of those things. But reality is that real estate's one of the greatest businesses you can. It provides the most freedom for what I would consider the least amount of effort.
You know, it's interesting. I was speaking with somebody earlier, and we were talking about once you've achieved a certain, like you've put the time in and you're starting to see the benefits of your work, this is an industry where you can take off as much time as you want. I mean, I was speaking with one of our agents years ago, and he said he takes off like 3 months a year.
Yeah.
And but you have, like anything else, you're not a 10-year overnight success. You earn that. It doesn't happen for those who are willing to do the work.
Look, there's the outliers out there that step in and all of a sudden they're making more money than they've made in their entire life really fast. And that does happen. Don't get me wrong. But if you look statistically at that number, it's not a very high number. 1 or 2% of the people that get in the business have that kind of instant success, right? Most of us have to work at it. Most of us have to get better at what we do. Most of us have to practice and train and coach and get coached and have those rough days. But over time, it just gets to be where you know what you're doing, you know what to say, you know when to say it, and it becomes easier to be successful.
It's like any other script or anything when you go to, like they say, you go to the store, you're looking for something. No, I'm not, right? We're all scripted. We fall in line.
Oh, really? You're at the store and you're not looking for anything? That's very odd. What did you come into the store for? I mean, there's canned answers on both sides.
But that's
right?
what happens when you do this long enough. You there's always something new to learn in this business.
Yeah.
However, if you do the work and focus, it becomes second nature, most of the stuff, right? Whereas in the beginning, like anything else, I'm not the same person in real estate from the first day I started because it's 33 years later. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, you don't know any other way to talk. I mean, the challenge at my house is when people come to my house and we have dinner or there's some kind of family event or whatever that looks like, what do you think we talk about? We talk about real estate. You know why? It's the only thing I know about. What else am I going to talk about? I don't know about anything else.
You know about golf. You know about baseball. These things we're going to get into,
well,
right?
I mean, I have some hobbies, right? Yeah. I have some of that kind of stuff. But the reality is, if you want to have intelligent conversation, which some people enjoy, it's going to be about real estate. It's going to be about the market. It's going to be about what's going on with pricing right now. Like, is there any pressure from the settlement? I mean, it's going to be those kind of conversations because I don't really know anything else. And I think that's one of the challenges that new agents have, by the way, is they do know something else. They're coming into this business from another business, and they still talk about that life. They got to get used to talking about real estate.
Yeah, it's funny because no matter what you did in the past, you got to leave it at the door because this is a different animal.
Yeah, it's a little different.
It's really different. What are you seeing in the industry? It's become very litigious, right? Everybody's after us. I mean,
yeah.
It's so different than,
Who's going to sue us next?
Yeah, well, there's been a certain degree of transparency, right, in real estate. For agents who have been doing it a long time, they've been transparent, treating it like a business. I think we went through this period where when the market's hot, money's falling from the sky, a lot of people got into the industry. And now with some of the things that are coming at a very high level, there's this consumer forced transparency, it seems. It seems as if everybody's raising their hand and has something to say about our industry.
Yeah, and that's sad for me because, transparency's got to be one of the most important things in any business and anything that you do. And you're talking a little bit about the NAR settlement and some other lawsuits
just everywhere.
That are against the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. In my business, look, nothing changed. I'm just as transparent today as I was 10 years ago.
Right.
Every buyer that we work with on my team knows what we get paid before we show them a single house. I mean, that's just part of transparency, part of being in a business. The last thing I want is someone to be surprised at the end, because at the end of a transaction, I want to be the hero and them to want to use me again or give me a client or a friend of theirs. And if there's a surprise at the end and they're mad, that's not how it works out.
Well, it's interesting, the whole discussion with the buyer brokerage agreement. If I'm going to list your home, I have a contract. If I'm going to show you home, shouldn't I have a contract? Never had a problem getting that signed because it was just a matter of doing business. And, there's a lot of talk about the barrier to entry to getting into real estate is low, whatever the case may be. It just seems as if, and then you have the big 800-pound gorilla in the internet. There's no transparency there, right?
Nope.
Is your listing gets advertised and somebody else is paying for it. That's not transparent, right? Yeah. Because the lead is going to that.
It's going to somebody else. It's not their listing, but yeah, I don't really buy into all of that, if I'm being honest with you. Like I'm pretty small in the sense that, my business is my business, and I have my listings and we market our listings for us, and I don't spend a lot of time worrying about what other people are doing out there. I think it's also one thing that's probably kept me in the business so long is I haven't got really involved in all the what I call noise. Like I try to block the noise out on a daily basis and concentrate on what's important to my clients and what's important to making sure that my business runs correctly.
How does it show up in your world as a managing broker and people coming in and, hey, I want leads or technology, this and that? There's a lot of shine. It's a lot of distractions. And some people will want to have at-length discussions about some of the stuff that really doesn't affect the day-to-day if you're focused on the relationships. The two ladies I met with before you, we're all making deposits deposits into the relationship buckets. That's what keeps it sticky. However, as a managing broker and dealing with hundreds of agents, how does that present itself?
Well, I find myself asking the same question a lot, and the question is, how is that going to affect your business today? Right? I mean, so many people are worried about branding. They're worried about what's my logo going to look like. All of these things that in the end have zero effect on today and finding a piece of business. And you can get out of this business really fast when you concentrate on the wrong things. So I find myself having a lot of conversations around where are you going to find a person or a couple that needs to buy or sell a home. And when you figure that out, when you find that, and I'm happy to help you learn different ways to do that, we'll worry about what your logo looks like. Because then you'll have someone to send it to.
Branding's cool, but it's a distraction. I have a lot of people come, how about the website? What about this? Did you read the right pages of the MREA? How many people have you exported contacts from your phone? What are you saying to those people? It's very...
it's always interesting.
Especially with the newer people, it seems that way.
Brand new agents come in and say they want a website because they think they're going to outperform Zillow and Realtor.com. And look, it just isn't what you need to be thinking about.
I tell people who have that fear of the phone, I said, don't plan on doing an open house and spending hours working on the perfect open house flyer and being the Picasso of flyers, because nobody gives a shit about your flyer. They care about how you can provide value to them. But sometimes people will get buried in that. And sometimes even top agents, my phone blows up all the time with, what'd you think about this? And I saw this on Inman, and same thing. Well, how is that going to impact you?
Yeah, my answer to that, I do get a lot of that. I do get a lot of people who call me and want my opinion on the latest news in the news. And I always have the same answer. You know what, I haven't really had time to read through that, but as soon as I get time, I'll call you back and give you my opinion. Basically what I'm saying is I'm not going to call you back because I'm just not going to spend a bunch of time digging into what some other guy has an opinion about. I think it's clickbait. Look, Inman gives some great information, and nobody come after me about Inman, but half of the things that come out of Inman are like just not true.
It's an
opinion.
It's a National Enquirer.
It's some guy's opinion about the state of North Carolina, and I'm in Nevada.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the laws of Nevada. Just because it happened in another state doesn't mean it applies here. So we run into that a lot here because of California, right? They got some just massive amount of rules and laws and things, and
the paperwork is intense.
Yeah, and you come to Vegas and it's not that way, and so everyone wants to know, well, why aren't we doing it like that? And it's not the law here.
Right.
We follow the law in Nevada, not the law in California. So
tell me a little bit about leadership and other roles. Right, you owned a golf store. You're really into baseball. What are some of your hobbies? What are some of those things?
No leadership there. I'm a terrible golfer, and I don't play very good baseball.
I don't know. You play golf with some of the guys here. I hear you're pretty good. I mean, you have kind of a bum leg and foot at the moment, but I don't see that holding you back.
I enjoy golf. I did own a golf store in Vegas for about 5 years. That was actually what I did before I got into real estate. I used to sit in my office at the golf store, and I could look right across the parking lot, and there was a real estate company there. And I bought a house from a friend of ours. She was the agent, and me and my wife bought a house. And in the end, I just thought, man, she did the worst job that I didn't really understand, and I was pretty frustrated. It was back in the early '90s, and she had made like $15,000 on the deal, and I was really frustrated that like she got paid 15 grand, and I just couldn't understand what she did for me. Like I see no value. And at the time, my wife and I were talking about maybe buying a rental or buying some land and building a house later and that kind of thing. And I was like, man, I really want to do that, but I can't use a different agent because this agent is a family of a friend of the family, and so I didn't want to get into that whole scenario, right? Like, why am I using a different agent? And so I thought, well, why don't I just call that office over there and see what it takes to get a real estate license? So I called over there, and the guy said, oh, well, you got to go to a real estate school, and he gave me the name of a real estate school, and I was like, well, is it hard? And he's like, I don't think it's very hard. And I'm like, okay. So I call up the real estate school and I say, hey, I'm thinking about getting a real estate license. What do I need to do? And he goes, you got to attend class. You got to go to the course. I have one seat left and class starts tomorrow. The greatest salesperson on the planet. I was going to
say he sold you, huh?
Yeah, the greatest salesperson on the planet. I couldn't get my credit card out of my wallet fast enough.
Okay.
There's only one seat left? Okay, hold on, let me give you my card. So like 2 days later, I started real estate school with zero intention of ever being a realtor.
You were curious,
just wanted to get a license so that I could buy and sell my own stuff.
Okay.
I knew nothing about the industry, zero. Although I'm born and raised in Vegas, I've watched the town grow. I know the town, but I didn't know anything about real estate. So, yeah, so here I am 20 years later, managing broker, selling real estate, and it was all because someone really did a bad job. Forced my hand, and here I am.
Okay, I wonder where that person is today. And
I know where she is.
I've heard that story from a few people.
Yeah,
that the experience was not what they expected, so they were curious and threw their hat into the arena, getting in, being a real estate agent.
So right after becoming a realtor, at the time I owned a golf store, and got my license November. The end of November is when it actually came in. And the first week of December, my partner and I decided to close the golf store. So we had a fire sale of we owned everything in the store. So we sold everything in the store for cash, and had some money in my safe from that whole thing. By about the 17th of December, we were closed. And of course it was Christmas time, and we're doing all that, and I wasn't working. And I woke up like the second or third day of January the next year, and didn't have anywhere to go, didn't have anything to do. And that's not me. I was a little freaked out. I looked at my wife and I said, what should I do? And she goes,
scary for you too, right?
She goes, well, you have a real estate license. Why don't you go to the real estate office? And I was like, oh, that's a crazy idea. Okay, let me go check that out.
With those people?
Yeah, so then I started going into that office, and I did a couple deals pretty quickly, pretty good sized deals pretty quickly. And I was like, wow, that guy wasn't lying. This is easy. This is not hard to do.
Nice.
And then about 6 months later, the crash of 07 hit, and 06, 07, 08, and it got really hard.
You did a lot of short sales in that time, right? You were kind of one of those short sale kings. You really had a high volume of short sales you were doing.
Yeah, I did. So I went to the same coach that gave me the advice on how to be a good realtor and said, what do I do? Like, I'm new at this. What am I going to do? He said, well, I'll tell you, you got two choices. You can go after REOs or bank-owned properties. You can go do a bunch of BPOs. You can get into that arena, or you can do short sales. And ironically, at the time, my mom had bought a property that the tenant, as soon as the crash thing happened, she bought a house before that, had a tenant. The tenant vacated without notice. Didn't pay her rent 1 month. We went over to see what was going on. It was vacant. Have no idea where she went. So my mom owned this home, and she needed to sell it. She was upside down substantially. And so I went into the office, and I'm like, hey guys, does anybody know what to do about this? Like, how do we resolve this problem? And they're like, yeah, do a short sale. And I was like, oh, okay. What is that? And they're like, we don't know, but they used to do them in the 80s. So it's a thing. Okay, cool. So then I had to kind of start researching that, got that short sale done. And then Dave suggested that I either get in the REO business or the short sale business, and I went short sale. His reasoning was because those people are used to owning homes, and once this all passes, and it will pass, they're going to want to come back and buy a home again. So I got in the short sale business. I did do a lot of short sales.
Those people come back, right?
Many, yeah, many.
You helped them out of a
bad
tough
situation.
spot. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I've sold and bought homes for them and their families, and over time, yeah. Short sales were a lot of fun for me because there was a little personal interaction.
Perfect.
It was a real business transaction. Like I get on the phone with the bank. I'd get to the office around 5:30 or 6 in the morning. I would start calling the East Coast banks. And as the day progressed and as banks opened, as you go across the country, I would call across the country to get short sale approvals and negotiations.
You really had that mapped out. You kind of do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I knew where they were, and I had my system set up so that I knew who to call at what time. And that's what I did. I was on the phone. There were multiple times when every phone in my office, every cell phone, and other phones in our office were all dialed into the same Bank of America phone system so that I could get through to somebody, because you could get put on hold for several hours.
Right, so you have many people in the
so
queue.
I had
Who gets
15
the first?
of those lines tied up.
Brilliant.
Yeah, until they would actually answer the phone and I could have a conversation with somebody.
Really nice. You know, it's funny about you is that you, again, direct, to the point, not a lot of like emotion. You're able to stay logical. However, you're a really deep guy. You go deep with relationships. You make a lot of deposits. You have that servant leadership heart. So I don't think people really know that until they get to know you, right? The white definitely agrees with you. I've told you that, right? The white, the black. The white's definitely helping.
She's talking about my shirt, by the way.
The shirts that he always wears black, and people at times will think that he is not approachable. I didn't remember the first time I met Todd, and we were talking about the Agent Leadership Council, and no, it was commercial. We were thinking about bringing commercial, and you wanted to do commercial, and I figured, well, he's direct. I'm going to be direct. I said, well, I'm sorry you're so pissed off about it. And he goes, I'm not pissed off. I'm still going to do it. And I went, okay, I guess that's Todd. But that was one of my very first interactions with you.
That's everybody's first impression.
I know, and that's kind of, I'm going to let the secret out. You're not. You're very caring. You go deep with people. You care about people.
Well, I think once, time is really important to me. I don't have a lot of time. Like, I know everybody has the same amount of time, but I just don't feel like I have a lot of time to spend on things that don't matter. Mm-hmm. And one thing I've learned in life is that there's a lot of people that don't matter. They want to matter. They're not willing to put the work in to make it matter. And so I'm pretty selective on who I let in my circle, no question about that. Mm-hmm. But if you're in my circle, I'm the guy that's going to defend you to the end.
Yeah.
I'm the guy that's going to make sure you get what you need and make sure you get what you want. And,
right.
Real estate, I think what I have learned about real estate, and by the way, I grew up as a mechanic, right? My dad owned a mechanic shop in town. Till I was in my early 30s, I was an automotive repair guy, worked on cars. I went from that to a landscape company.
Remember that.
Right, and I left the landscape business and got into the audio video business, where I was installing low voltage audio video in high-end homes in like Salt Lake and all over the country. I would travel around and do that kind of stuff. And then got out of that, got in the golf business, had an opportunity. I actually got in the golf business because I was a webmaster creating websites back when that was a thing.
You were ahead of your time.
Early on.
Yeah,
right?
that was a real gift. That was a real skill.
Yeah, so HTML is a very early basic language for websites, and I self-taught myself HTML language because I wanted to know, I was curious, and so I wanted to know what that was all about. I went to my uncle said, hey, I want to learn about this. He talked me into going to a class at UNLV, and I was like, yeah, I'll go. That's cool. I'd love to go learn about that. And I didn't learn anything. In fact, I taught most of the class. But got out of that in the golf business, selling golf equipment, and then got into real estate. And one thing I've learned about real estate is that anybody that's successful in real estate has to have some level of care for other people. They have to have some level of wanting to help somebody. They've got to have some level of relationship building or caring or going deep with people. Those are the ones you're going to find they're going to be highly successful agents because they can dig in, they can get deep with people, they can build a relationship to a level where spending $5 or $6 or $7 or even $1 million on a home seems easier. So yeah, I mean, I definitely have the ability to build relationships. I'm also very standoffish at first. It takes me a minute.
Yeah, you're not going to always appeal to everybody, right? I mean, really, the time, we only have so much of it. I say sometimes time can be a 4-letter word, and how I spend it and who I spend it with is critically important.
Yep.
Don't have time for bullshit.
I'm a call their bullshit all the time. That's my motto.
And what's nice is on the flip side of it and working with so many people, we have our personal relationships, right? And then we're on the professional side of it. Sometimes we get personal relationships with the people we work with. And I find the people who do the work, the joy, just like a teacher, right? The joy in seeing the light bulb go off or looking back a year or two later and seeing somebody's progress and knowing you had a little part in that. That's why we do. I mean, that's why I do what I do. I mean, the growth period and coming over here, I've lived many lives in real estate. I think I've said that before, but I've quit this job 100 times in my head. But I have too much.
This job 100 times a year.
I know. I
doing something else. I'm tired of this.
Yeah, I got too much grit to quit, and it has to do with the people. And just like anything else, just like starting a real estate business, you just got to stick around and stick with it, right? And in those bad days, there are 10 times many good days if you choose to see it.
Well, the bad days are growth days. The good days are the reward days.
Absolutely. That's a great way. I've never looked at it that way, having that perspective that they are growth days.
Yeah, real estate's about helping people. You got to really kind of you have to have some desire to help people. I mean, one of mine, I've really been trying to get out of real estate, if I'm being honest. I'm not in love with showing homes. I'm not in love with going on listing. I'm not in love with that part of the business, but what I do like is I like helping. I like when people come to me and say, this can't be done, or I can't figure out how to do this, or this is impossible. Like I like to get outside the box and solve problems that people can't typically solve. And I've come pretty good at that, where I can think beyond just the small box
really
that people think in. So that's what keeps me going is I like to get an email from an agent that I coached 5 years ago that has a question, and they trust me enough to come back to me even after 5 years and ask me the question. So, and that happens on a day-to-day because I used to run the mentorship program here. I do some outside coaching with agents. I've had a lot of interaction with different people, and so that's really rewarding to me. I don't get so excited about the commissions. I mean, everyone's always, you get paid so much, and I'm like, did I? I don't know.
It's a journey.
Yeah, it's
really the journey, right? And the people, and we go through different seasons of our life, and the fact that you create these bonds with people, and they do come back. And like I had a lady I met with today who we met a long time ago at another brokerage. We hung out and talked, and we shared stories, and that's all that good stuff. We come across so many people. You have to really want to help people.
Well, that's how you learn that it's a relationship business, not just with the public, but with people around you.
In life.
That's how you stay in it. Yeah, I mean, this business has always been a means to an end for me. It's about time. I have 3 kids. One that played golf through college, through high school. One that was a cheerleader all through high school. And my youngest one played club volleyball. I mean, there's people out there that know what all those things mean, but it's very time intensive, and it's relatively expensive to have a kid that plays golf all the time, and those traveling around the country playing golf. And I've been to every single cheerleading event at Desert Oasis High School when my daughters went there. I went to a wrestling match once. They were cheering. I didn't have a single person in any of those games. It was just my daughter cheering on the sideline. But real estate gave me the ability to go to those things because a lot of those things happen during the day when people are at work. And my daughter that played club volleyball, I mean, we traveled to LA every other weekend. Had to leave on a Friday, had to come home late on a Sunday, and real estate gave me the time to be able to do that. And that, for me, that was way more important than the commission check.
Yeah, it's interesting because this business can eat you up 24/7.
Yeah.
And we have a saying, and it doesn't matter if you believe in God or not, doesn't matter what God, but God, family, and then business. And it's that building that life by design. And I remember taking Bold, and it was, you have a lot of people say there's no time, there's no time. When I plan out my year, all the main events are planned out and everything else goes around it, right? That's something that is an art too. That's a skill you have to learn.
Well, you learned that. I learned that from Gary Keller, right? I mean, he will not put out. I don't know if that's true today still, but years ago he would not put out the Keller Williams International calendar until him and his wife had figured out what their personal vacations look like for the year.
And that's something,
because that was more important.
That's a lesson. You don't have to pick up the phone 24/7. That's something that a lot of people in this industry, some get and some don't, and you can still go and do the things that you want to do and have your business run. How has leverage showed up in your life in those moments, right?
I love my cell phone. I don't know where it's at right now, but
oh, good. No,
like
but
I don't have to be sitting in the office. I can still help people. I can still
that's
answer
a form
questions.
of leverage, right?
Yeah, it's been great leverage.
Communication, and then you've had admins in your life. You had people in your world that you don't get bogged down in the details of stuff if you don't have to. You hire talent.
Yeah, I actually had this conversation today. It's weird we're talking about this. I have an agent on my team that seems to be time challenged. Like they don't understand how to get the important things done first. Mm-hmm. They take the easy things first and not the important things. And so we're having this conversation and watching him grow through this. But one thing that really taught me about leverage was my calendar. I got really good at keeping a calendar because time is important to me. And I have colors on my calendar. And if it's green, it's for me, and it's a go, and it's money productive, and all those things that go with green. And if it's on my calendar and it's yellow, then it's something somebody else could be doing.
Yep.
I need to be cautious doing it. And so I did learn pretty early that I needed to find someone to do that for two reasons. One was my time sensitivity. That's always kind of been my thing. Is one of my downfalls is everything. I'm always in a hurry because I'm time sensitive, which isn't always a good thing. That's a high D in you. Yeah, it's not a good thing. But the other thing is there's a lot of things that I'm not good at. I'm just simply not good at paperwork. I understand it. I can explain it, but to keep it all in one place and organized, it's not my world. And so, yeah, I've had assistants. I've had TCs. I've had every type of leverage that it goes. And I literally can't live without one. Mm-hmm. I don't hope my TC doesn't see this. I don't care what it costs. That's not what's important to me. What's important to me is that it's done.
Right.
And it's done correctly. And I'm sure she'll be raising my price here soon. But
let me know how that works out.
It is what it is.
So we have a little bit of time left. Tell me quickly, how do you define wealth this time in your life, this stage of your career?
Mine's about family. A lot of people gauge wealth based on money. Mm-hmm. I don't do that. I have enough money to live. I have enough money to do what I need to do on a day-to-day. My wealth is my family. Yeah. I spend a tremendous amount of time with my family. The weekend's not a success unless I get to do that.
Oh, yeah.
We plan I don't make a single decision in my life that doesn't include my family in it. So that's wealth for me. Nice. Money-wise, my philosophy's always been I can always make more money. I've never not been able to make money.
Great point.
I'm not taking it with me. I don't need to be saving a bunch of it someplace I can't see it. My mother, who just turned 77, has got this new desire to buy and sell crypto. And that's just something I've never spent a lot of time on, never really wanted to be a part of it. I think I'm not saying it's not successful. I'm not saying that people don't make a bunch of money. And I'm just saying that it's not for me. Mm-hmm. And now I've got my 77-year-old mother who calls me on a weekly basis wanting me to help her with this crypto thing and that crypto thing. And I think you can measure wealth a lot of ways. And for me, it's just my family. That's it.
And having the time to spend with them, making the time.
To do with them what I want to do with them. I got 5 grandkids now. If any of my kids are watching this, I'm expecting a 6th one as soon as possible.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if I am having a 6th one, but I'm expecting one.
Oh, I see. So you're putting that out there into the universe is what, okay.
No, not to the universe, to my kids.
Right.
I want them to know that I'm ready for my sixth one.
The more, the merrier.
Yeah.
6,
I've got one
8,
that's
10.
my youngest one's about 8 weeks now. Warren G. He's just
He was in here last week.
cutest thing in the world. Mm-hmm. And then I've got my oldest is 9. So got
That's Maddox
everything in
or
between.
Maddox or Mason?
Maddox is 9,
Yeah.
and then Hudson is 8, but he'll be 9 in June, so he'll be 9 in a couple months.
Good stuff,
Oh wait,
right?
a month. It's May.
What I hear about being a grandparent is you get to love them and spoil them, and you get to give them back.
Yeah, I don't want to give them back though. Like they can just stay at my house all the time.
Okay.
I'd rather have it that way, but
Yeah.
I know that's not fair to their parents. So, yeah, I tell people all the time, like, get rid of your kids and get grandkids. And
Hurry up. It's kind of like go further, faster,
it's the
right?
greatest thing in the world.
Yeah, you don't have the stresses. You have the wisdom and everything else.
Love my kids, but I just love my grandkids.
Okay.
So
If somebody wants to get in touch with you, Todd, how would they get in touch with you?
they can call the office. They can call my cell phone.
What's
You can Google Todd Barton with 1D, and
Mm-hmm.
it's all out there. It's all over the place.
okay? You ready for the lightning round?
Yeah,
Quick questions?
yeah.
All right, let's do it. All right, lightning round. Answer the questions in 10 seconds or less.
Okay, go
Don't
Braves.
overthink
Is one
it.
of them about baseball? I'm a Braves fan.
Yes, as a
Oh,
matter
it
of
is?
fact.
Okay.
Of
Yeah,
course,
go Braves.
I would not be doing you a service if I didn't include something about baseball. So, favorite ballpark or baseball memory?
Probably my favorite ballpark would be San Diego's ballpark. It's a
Okay.
really fun park to go to. It's really nice. And my best memory is my wife and I stayed. There's a Hilton that's actually attached to that stadium, and you can walk from the Hilton
Oh.
straight over to the stadium, and you don't have to deal with all the car stuff. And
Yeah, time. Saving
that,
time.
Yeah, that was good. And then we have a really good family friend. I know you said 10 seconds, but sorry, I don't follow rules very well. We have a really good family friend that my kids grew up with. His name's Bryson Stott. He plays for the Phillies. And probably my best memory was taking my 9-year-old Maddox to the ballpark in Philadelphia for opening day
Oh, fun.
and watching him go out on the field and hang out with Bryson. So that was cool.
Favorite energy drink?
Monster, white only, no
Be-
sugar.
Beach, mountains, or city?
Mountains. My wife's the beach. I'm the mountains.
Your go-to quote or personal motto?
Call them on their bullshit.
First concert you ever went to?
First concert, probably that I can remember. I'm sure there were some back when I was in school, but Kenny Chesney at the Mandalay Bay Beach,
Dream vacation spot?
my cabin,
Tech tool you can't live without?
my phone,
Oh, I knew that was coming. All right, and if the most important question, if you had 10 extra hours in a week, how would you spend them?
my family.
Maybe those grandbabies?
Playing golf, probably. I might play golf for half of that.
Would you divide the 10 hours 5 and 5
Yeah,
or something?
yeah. I'd go play golf and then.
Because that's thinking outside the box. You don't
Yeah.
have to, yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't have to play golf, but I enjoy it, and my wife enjoys me playing it because she gets some free time too.
And you get me time. That sounds like something
Yeah.
you do for Todd.
Yeah, that's about that. And then I do have a new project I'm picking up. Actually, going to Salt Lake this weekend to pick up a new project that I'm going to be working on. So
Personal
be some me
project,
time.
business project, just for fun, hobby?
a truck. Yeah, I'm going to restore a 1970 K5
How fun
Blazer.
is that? You going to let us borrow it when we need something?
Sure. Yeah, sure. You can use it.
Todd lets us borrow his truck for various things, but okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all right. That's our swan call.